a really good hip flexor and quadricep opener. Quadriceps can cause the back to get very painful. If they're tight, it can also cause bad posture. So you may find if you're sitting for a long time that you start to feel a little tight here. Great if you're cycling a lot as well or driving a lot. So we will start just seated and going to take the right leg underneath the chair. So you'll come onto the right shin. Now, if you need to pad yourself out with a blanket under that right knee, then please do so. And as you do this, if you come forward, that will take the pressure off that right hip flexor. And as you draw back in space, it will start to lengthen it. Now, if you're quite open, you can take that right knee back in space and then draw back a little more. That will really start to open the right hip flexor a little more. So just take a few breaths to breathe here and see if you can feel it softening. You can start to explore and play around with it. The more you lengthen down through the tailbone, so it's like you're drawing the belly in and taking the tailbone long, the more you'll feel yourself lengthening this hip flexor. One more breath here. And then we'll take that on the other side. So as you start to pull that right leg through, starting to take the left knee underneath. So you can start with the thigh, and I'll take it to the side so you can see here as well. You can start with the thigh more open, and then as that starts to deepen, you can take the left knee back in space a little more. That will open the hip flexor. Tailbone goes long. You can also lift up through the heart, and that will give you the sense of lengthening. It lengthens the psoas muscle, the hip flexor, the quads. Breathing in deep. Letting it soften, just staying present to what's there for you. If you find it really uncomfortable, come forward a little. And then when you're ready, we'll start to lift up. And the next option is just taking the same stretch but a little deeper. You may like to have the wall close to you so you can hold on to something. And option one, depending on how tight your quads are, you can just bring your right shin onto the chair. That might be enough. You might find your chair's a bit small like mine is. Or what I prefer is to bring the right knee all the way up onto the chair. And as you do that, it starts to lengthen this whole right hip flexor really quite well. If it's too strong, you can just come forward, and that takes the pressure off the hip. But if you'd like to intensify it, tailbone goes long, heart lifts up, crown of the head lifts up to the sky, and you can really feel yourself getting this beautiful kind of, if it feels painful, that's not good, but it should feel a really good, sweet release. Breathe into it. Keep lengthening, and the more you draw the tailbone down, you'll feel it, that it intensifies this stretch. Often called King Arthur's stretch, often done with this leg against a wall and this foot on the floor. So we'll take that the other way. And you can come straight up or switch sides if you have a preference to have the other hand on the wall. As you do that, you can take that knee as far back as you can, but think about what's happening with the back here. It's very easy for the back to arch if you're quite prone to that. So see if you can draw the tailbone down, lift up with the heart, and get long through the front left thigh. Shoulders slide down the back. A few deep breaths here. And when you're ready, just returning. And you can stand up and do that stretch anytime during the day. I hope you found it useful. Thanks for joining me today.